Okay, so here I'm going to teach you guys how to crumb coat a cake. There are various steps. If we were in class, I would write them all up on the board, but we're not. So I'm going to take my cake, and to be honest, I made it, and I put it in the freezer, and then my husband went and stockpiled and put some chicken on top of it, so they're all kind of smushed, as you can see. And that's going to be okay because I actually want to trim it down fairly small for the sake of this demo. I have to find a template, first of all. So generally you want to find a template that is just slightly smaller than the cake that you have already baked. But for the sake of seeing the contrast, I'm actually going to do something much smaller. So you can see there's about 1 inch around. Generally, like I said, I'm sure people aren't going to listen to me, you really want to just go to the edge, slightly in. Now, to do the trimming of the cake, I want to take a small serrated knife that has the jagged edges. That's what a serrated knife is. And I'm going to hold my knife 90 degrees to my template. And I'm just going to kind of saw around there, going straight down. If I angle in or if I angle out, it's going to mess up the whole point of this. The whole point is to get rid of all of the irregular edges on this cake. That's going to make it a lot easier to ice the actual cake. I'm not going to have to patch it up as much. I'm just sawing it around. I've had students in the past that have applied a lot of pressure at this point, and what that does is it just smashes the cake. I really like to do this when the cake is semi-frozen, but when I'm doing things with my kids around, it's impossible to do things as fast as I'd like. So as you can see, I have a lot of extra here. So that's one I've trimmed. Now I'm not gonna like level this at all, but if I had a huge dome, I'm just gonna trim it off to make sure it's all pretty much the same size. I'm gonna put that aside, and then I'm going to get my next cake out. You always want to trim it when the cake is fairly cold. If you took it right out of the pan and the cake were warm, it would pretty much just crumble. So I'm going to put this closer to the edge just because I noticed that it's majorly smushed down here and very tall up here. It'll be easier when I have to cut off the dome at the top. So I'm just going around, sawing around. And this one is actually still a little frozen, so it's a little bit more effort to put the knife through there. Now, if I had a normal size cake that I was demoing for you, I would absolutely use this very small serrated knife for the sides. And then I would switch to cut the dome off. I would use a bigger serrated knife. It looks like this. It's a bread knife. Okay, so look at all that extra. But you can see that it's much smoother now. Now, the top of this one got a little toasty, so where I'm going to level the top would be this part. Now for this, I'm going to switch just so that you guys are familiar with switching off with your knives. Be very aware and mindful of where your fingers are. You don't want to force this. Generally, I want to keep my hand on the other side or at the very top. I've actually had some really bad cuts from a serrated knife because it's jagged, so it's harder for you to heal from. So by cutting off the dome there, I ended up getting rid of that bone part. Oh gosh. Knife safety, here we go. So I'm just trimming that part. That one little piece was kind of hanging there. So I'm going to just demo how to do the crumb coat on here. Now, what I'm going to do is pause it. Okay, so I have my other assistant here stirring the strawberries unnecessarily. All of the cakes have been now trimmed down and they're pretty level. I'm gonna leave it here.